Hey, David. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Joe, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. All right, let's talk real briefly on a couple of different hot topics here. All right, getting divorced, what do they do with the house?
You know, that's an interesting question and a question that comes up a lot and that takes a lot of time. As you said in your last segment or your question, it depends. And it depends on whether or not one party can afford to keep the house. One of the other issues that come up is if one party is going to take the house, will they be able to refinance the house to make sure the other party is off the loan? As you know, that affects their debt credit ratio. So a lot of times one party can't take the house. Another factor that we look at is the rents. Sometimes it's cheaper to keep the house or stay in the house because the rents right now in San Diego, as you know, are not super cheap. But again, I think to go back, it really all depends. It's a question that we put a lot of thought into, and we try and negotiate rather than have a court order just the sale of the house.
Well, when you look at mistakes, what do you think the biggest mistakes are when people divorce? You know, they're approaching retirement age. Now I'm divorced. It's now what? I mean, what are the steps that they should take, and what are some mistakes that they should avoid?
Probably a big mistake is they need to get a financial planner, and we send a lot of people to financial planners. Another mistake they make is they don't plan for spending their money. If they receive spousal support, they don't plan accordingly. There's some tax aspects to receiving support. Sometimes people will just spend all their support not knowing that they're not going to get any more. I'm trying to think.
Well, you know, when you're speaking support, like alimony, so you want to make sure that you make that thing last as long as you can?
Well, yeah, again, that depends. We call it spousal support now. Alimony is kind of outdated. But yes, for spousal support, and it really depends how long it's going to last. Remember, the payor of spousal support has a right to retire. You can't force somebody to pay support, you know, until they're on their deathbed. So there are a lot of factors that go into that.
And so what you're seeing is that, all right, well, now I get spousal support. It could be male or female that gets the spousal support.
Correct.
And so when they're getting that income, they're not necessarily, maybe they're just spending it. They should be taking a look at maybe a savings plan because that's not going to last the rest of their life.
That's correct. Or go see a financial planner and look at the tax aspect. A lot of people, when you receive spousal support, you're taxed on that. And a lot of people don't realize that at the end of the year, they're going to get a nice tax hit on that.
Are you seeing here in California, I mean, we looked at statistics and it's like, all right, well, here, you know, the highest rate of divorcees right now are people in their 50s and 60s. Is that true here in Southern California? What do you see? Well, I mean, what's coming in your office?
You know, I don't see any more of that than I did, you know, maybe 5-6 years ago. I always say 50 is the new 30. I think people are getting married later. They're doing things later.
See,
they're
Al, I
having
got a
kids
chance,
later.
right?
Yeah.
I got a chance, Al. I got a chance to get married, right?
But they're having children later. Maybe they're having their quote-unquote midlife crisis a little later. So I think when you see the divorce statistics going up for people over 50 and over, I think it's just a trend of people doing things later in life.
Well, I mean, if you take a look at it, I think a lot of people at that age, it's like, man, maybe it might be way too expensive to divorce. And so they're probably just unhappily ever after.
Yeah, that's true. There are a lot of people, and getting divorced can be expensive, and it can be a financial burden. And if it's not done right, it can really be a financial burden. There's some people who get divorced and they actually work together in their divorce. They plan, they become business partners, they keep the investments together. If one spouse was in charge of the accounts, they let that spouse manage the accounts, and it works very well for them.
David, awesome job, my friend.
Good to see you, Joe.
Hey, man, thanks so
care.
much. Hey, stick around. We got a lot more to go. Hey, when we get back from the break, we're going to flip the show back to you and answer your email questions. And then we got some final thoughts when it comes to retiring single or graying single. Don't go anywhere. Show's called Your Money, Your Wealth.